What is going on, Chicago Bears fans? The Chicago Bears walked into Green Bay and walked out with their first victory since the 2018 season. A span of 7 years, the Chicago Bears have not had a win against the Green Bay Packers for 7 years. Multiple quarterbacks, but Caleb Williams has come through with the victory that Chicago so desperately needed towards the end of their season, just to give them something to walk away from, feel a little bit better about, and give us all that sense that, maybe, just maybe, Caleb Williams is that guy. Now, I think most of us do agree that Caleb Williams is that guy, but it's been a very difficult season. I'm going to wrap this up, break it down for you, and spoiler alert, the Bears have officially reached out to the Detroit Lions to interview Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn for the vacant head coaching position. And we did get a statement this morning from Ryan Poles. We're going to break all that down and more. Make sure you hit the like button on your way in and tell me, what did you think? What is your grade for Caleb Williams on year one? Put it down in the comment below. All right, guys, final score, 24 Chicago Bears, 22 Green Bay Packers. The Chicago Bears walked into Green Bay, came out with the victory. Now, breaking this down, for anybody not named Keenan Allen, it was a good day. For anybody named Keenan Allen, you're throwing interceptions and costing your team wins, bro. Not really, but it was an interesting day. It was an interesting day. Caleb Williams finishes 21 of 29 for 148 yards. Just really kind of seemed like the Bears were looking to play an incredibly conservative game. Again, it almost feels like they're not trying to win. They're just trying not to lose. And that, by the way, makes me feel uncomfortable when I'm watching the product on the field. What I want to see is an evolving passing game. And of course, we went through an entire season not really seeing that. However, should be noted that Caleb Williams finishes his first NFL season with 3,500 yards passing, becoming the first Bear since 2015 to go over 3,500 yards passing in a single season. There's a lot of Justin Fields stands out there right now trying to come up with some way to explain that away. And, I mean, hey, a win's a win against Green Bay, something that Justin Fields and Mitchell Trubisky only had one victory, I think, against. So Caleb Williams is the first round draft pick for the Chicago Bears in quite a few years with even a victory. Now, not to be outdone here, we did have DeAndre Swift, who had 20 carries for 65 yards. Now, that number kind of went down as the game sort of, we had a couple of good runs, a couple of decent runs, a couple of strong runs. And then towards the end of it, we're just trying to kill some clock. And DeAndre kind of ate up. I think he was averaging over 4 yards a carry for most of the game till we got into the fourth quarter. But he did come in with a touchdown, and DJ Moore had a long touchdown, 9 receptions for 86 yards off of 10 targets. That's the kind of ratio that we like to see. Keenan Allen, 3-on-3, Rome Odunze, 2-on-2, Roschon Johnson, 5-on-5 targets. And look, Roschon Johnson finally getting some time. Cole Kmet, only 2 receptions for 3 yards. It's a little bit weird, again, that Cole Kmet not in the game the way that we would have thought. So it did not come across towards the end as, we didn't have an explosive sort of going away. We just found a way to have some resilience. And to as far as sacks go, Kevin Byard comes in with a sack, TJ Edward comes in with a sack, Byron Coward comes in with a sack, 3 sacks on the day. Now, I do want to say that, a lot of people put in a lot of stuff talking about how much they appreciate and they value and they love Montez Sweat. But to me, Montez Sweat gave up a couple of big plays around those. Look, if you're on the edge, if you're the end, your job is to contain. And I don't think he's done a very good job at contain in this game. So we do have a bone to pick with him in that regard. But overall, this has been just a really, really good game for the Chicago Bears. Finally breaking a couple things, ending a 10-game losing streak, number one. Number two, taking it to Green Bay, coming away with a big-time victory. And that leads us to our final piece of the day, and that is this. Ben Johnson the Detroit Lions have received an official request. By the way, today, January 6th, is the first day that teams can request interviews with assistant coaches, specifically some that are in the playoffs. And I think they do like a Zoom call with them up to 3 hours. So Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn have been requested to be interviewed. Bears have requested interviews. This is according to Tom Pelissero. Wasting no time, the Bears have requested interviews with Lions OC Ben Johnson and DC Aaron Glenn for their head coaching job per. So the question now becomes, will the Chicago Bears land Ben Johnson? Now, in order for that to happen, just to be very, very clear about it, nothing can happen with Ben Johnson as long as he's in the playoffs. So having that conversation is complicated. It will take some time. We shall see. If the Bears seem to be moving very quickly and we start to feel that, and something else that I want to point out, that Ryan Poles just gave an interview. So in a crazy little breakdown that just happened, Ryan Poles gives an interview talking about Ben Johnson. While he's talking about Ben Johnson, what he says, and this is pre-game, by the way, going into yesterday, and he says that, he likes Ben Johnson. He thinks Ben Johnson is a fantastic offensive coordinator. The Bears are looking for a leader of men. That's the statement that comes out of Ryan Poles. And the insinuation at this point, based on the way that this was worded and phrased, was that Ryan Poles was taking a shot at Ben Johnson for not being a quote-unquote leader of men. Now, was he doing that? I don't think so. I think that people misinterpret it because they always misinterpret it. But I think what happened here is he wanted to illustrate that that was the case. And then a bunch of what you would call Brian Flores stands came out of the woodwork because they were roommates. Ryan Poles and Brian Flores were roommates, so they wanted to interview him in Minnesota. And then the Detroit Lions summarily dismantled Brian Flores' vaunted defense and absolutely annihilated the Minnesota Vikings in the final game of the season to secure that #1 overall seed, showing that Ben Johnson, not Brian Flores, led his men to victory, which is a very interesting thing considering all of the effort and all of the stuff going out in the media. Look, take it for what you will, but it is important when you go out, when it matters, you go out there and you perform. And guess what? When it mattered, the Detroit Lions went out there and performed for their coach. Now, Dan Campbell is their head coach, but the offense under Ben Johnson went out there and did what they had to do to secure victory. That is a leader of men. Now, does that mean that they're not going to continue sparring in the media? No, of course not. They're still going to continue doing this because what they're looking for, and what Ben Johnson should be looking for, is to make sure that Ryan Poles is not a quote-unquote lame duck coach. If he is, then there's no way Ben Johnson comes here. So it's going to be interesting over the next couple of days to see how this starts to shake out. Does Ben Johnson lock himself in as that guy, as that quote-unquote leader of men? And here's the thing. When we say leader of men, you're going to hear this going around quite a bit over the next couple of days and weeks as we settle into this new paradigm and get this new coach going. And you're going to hear that over and over again. Why? Because it's a hot button phrase that the McCaskies used a while back, and now it's just kind of stuck as a mantra of sort for the Chicago Bears, even though these people so far have not successfully found that quote-unquote leader of men. And by the way, the rumors that were coming out about Matt Eberflus will prove to be right. But there's no real rumors about leader of men or anything like that about Ben Johnson, nor Brian Flores, by the way. I do think that the Bears are on the right path. Should they go with Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn, Joe Brady, Brian Flores, Mike Vrabel, whoever it is that they choose, that seems to be what they're looking for. And I don't hear underpinnings of a problem with that person. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. If Ben Johnson is the guy, Aaron Glenn, let's talk Joe Brady. You let me know who's your favorite pick in the comment section down below. My money is going to be on Ben Johnson, and I think there's going to be a negotiation process. Ben's going to want a lot of money. He's going to want some assurances. He's going to want Ryan Poles to be secure so that he doesn't have to worry about his general manager. He doesn't want to see the dysfunction that he's seen. He wants to be the guy to right the ship, and he wants to do it with Caleb Williams because he finds Caleb Williams to be an intriguing player, and he wants to be the guy that leads him. And then finally, what happens to Thomas Brown? A lot of underpinnings here that Thomas Brown could be a requirement for the Bears' next head coach to keep some consistency in what Caleb is doing. And if you're Ben Johnson, would you keep Thomas Brown around? That would be the question, because look, I think Thomas Brown did a pretty good job of coaching up Caleb Williams, but they still didn't score a lot of points. So, there was no breakout game. There was no moment in time where you said, yeah, this is the way it's supposed to be right here. So I'm not sure that that's, this could be a very interesting thing. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you guys for tuning in. Remember, guys, Green Bay finally got that victory out of the way, and this is just the start, in my opinion, of the next chapter for the Chicago Bears, and this one won't be the disaster that 2024 was. Thanks, guys.